After the recent run of results for Blackburn Rovers, some have been questioning the future of our manager, Tony Mowbray. In this video, I'm going to let you know what I think, whether I'm Mowbray in or whether I'm Mowbray out. And to be honest with you, my answer might surprise you. Right, folks, back once again today. We're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different, of course, the future of Tony Mowbray, and we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you're new to the channel, smash your subscribe button to get you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, World Football related, Tony Mowbray related. We're going to know here under Roverseas. That's right, of course. It's not been good, has it? 7 games without a win. 6 of those have been defeats. And our only highlight has been a draw against Coventry at home. It smells terrible. It is terrible. But what do we do with the curious case of Tony Mowbray? It's kind of like the curious case of Charlie Mulgrew. To be honest with you, I think that decision has also been a bit of a negative as well. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Of course, big shout out to the Patreons. That's right, the VIP band of brothers supporting the channel behind the scenes that have come here for Blackburn Rovers content for the past few years. So if you're new, smash your subscribe, of course, at least for the very least. But anyway, yes, indeed, we're going to take a little look, of course, at Tony Mowbray, the manager. What's in store? Of course, it's not been great. And in all honesty, in any other club, in any other league, he probably would have been fired by now. He would have been fired, not forced to resign, not forced to step aside. But the bigger people and the hierarchical structure of any club would have said, "That's it, Mowbray, you're out." But of course, it's different at Rovers. Of course, Venky's have had a tradition in the past of sticking to the guns with Steve Keane. It took them a while to get rid of him, and then later on they completely flipped the switch and then went nuts. They hired Henningberg, fired him after like 10 or 12 games. Same for Michael Appleton, fired him after a whole bunch of games. There was no consistency, no sort of longevity from any of the managers, and then they just went for a bad run. So, but to be honest with you, they've not had the best track record until the past 4 years, where they did bring in Mowbray. To be honest with you, at their first initial appointment, I was a bit underwhelmed. I thought, you know what, we've gone from Lambert to Coyle, which was completely and absolutely horrific anyway, to bring in a manager who seemed to be on his way out of football. To be honest with you, managed Coventry, didn't really get them anywhere, who are a crisis club in themselves, and we took a wild punt, it looked like, or a wise managerial option to bring in Mowbray, who is a footballing man, who has got good traditions, good ambitions, good heart, and of course it's paid off to a point. But we've come to a sort of area, or a part of his tenure, in Rovers' tenure, where it's kind of gone a little bit flat and have gone a little bit south. Anyway, let's just hop into the old vortex here and have a look at some stats and numbers that, of course, can either sell you or, of course, put you off the Mowbray factor. Of course, here is his managerial career, stretching all the way back to his days at Ipswich bloody Town. Yeah, it was only there as a caretaker. He did an okay job, really, not really fantastic. 25% success rate for his 4 games in charge. Then he went and he took a gamble at Hibs. Hibs are near and dear to my heart. They are my Scottish team, and he had a very, very good time there. And in fact, that was his probably his finest hour, to be fair. Treated royally, respected, managed 108 games out there, winning 52 of them with a 48.1% success rate. Pretty good. Then he went over and he had a crack at the English game. And to be fair, this is where it all worked out for him. He had a fantastic job at West Brom, taking him from the Championship to the Premier League, and that was his one and only experience in the Premier League, which ultimately ended in relegation. But that was good enough for Celtic to convince him to come back up north, and of course take over the reins at Celtic. But unfortunately, I could only finish in second there, even though with a 51.1% success rate. Not good enough. And then luckily, he got a nice little opportunity to manage back at home in his hometown of Middlesbrough, where he had a 39.9% success rate, managing there the second longest time of his career, after Rovers, winning 61 of his 153 games, losing 55 of them, 39.9% success rate. At the end of that tenure, I think the Middlesbrough fans wanted him gone. and he went. And then he was out of the game for a couple of years, actually, 18 months, give or take. And then he took up the reins at Coventry. And he was there for a fair bit of time. Ultimately ended up with a kind of an even sort of kilter here, managing 76 times, winning 26, losing 26, with a 34.2% success rate. Then Rovers came along, again, with about 6 months out of the game, something like that. He takes over the reins at Rovers and does an absolute, to be fair, a pretty good job managing us 206 times. It's his longest spell in any club in his pretty extensive managerial career. He's been in the game managing around about 20 years, give or take. He's won 85 of them, lost 68, and it's been 53 draws as well, with an average of a win percent rate of 41.3%. And in total, his managerial career spanned over 730 games, winning 303 of them, losing 255, with a 41.5% success rate. So, he has seen good times there at Rovers. It's probably one of his better eras of his career, even better than that Premier League visiting season with West Brom, where he took West Brom from the Championship, of course, to the Premier League. He was there for 3 years, give or take, and he got them to the glory. And of course, he wants to take us there as well. And unfortunately, this season has been a bit sour, because we had started fantastic, everything was looking great, and to be honest with you, back in October, in November, I thought, we got a chance here. We're scoring the goals. We're playing some really exciting football. But since November, in my eyes, we've gone a little bit crap. Let's take a look at, of course, some more numbers here. Of course, this is his record as manager across the divisions, from Hibs as well, all the way up to, of course, the present day, with, of course, some key numbers that we're going to examine here a little bit. So let's take a look at, of course, his championship history with West Brom back in, of course, 2006, 2007. Fantastic season. He finished fourth. They got him there he got them. Did he get them promoted on that season? He did not. He did not get them promoted on that season. I'm trying to look at this here. So 2006, 2007, he got a 1.59 points per game ratio, winning 16 of the 34 games, losing 12. 54 points on the board, which was good enough for the playoffs. Would you believe it? And that playoffs, I think, ultimately ended up in failure. He picked up 2 wins and a defeat, which ultimately I think must have been the final. And then, of course, the next season, though, he picked up, made amends, and got West Brom promoted with a 1.76 average per game, with winning 23 of the 46, losing 11. It was bitten hard there, of course, and ultimately he ended up in relegation with West Brom. Again, he gave it a full crack of the whip to keep West Brom in the division. Ain't no easy task. He landed on his feet with, of course, Celtic, and of course did good. Fair enough. Up there was only 2 guys in it, really. One of them has to lose. Unfortunately, I think he was given a rough end of the stick here with Celtic. I think if he would have stayed another season, he probably would have turned them into something decent. But of course, Celtic is an instant success sort of deal. Then he went to Middlesbrough, finishing the highest of 7th, which wasn't good enough for the playoffs, and ultimately not good enough for the Middlesbrough fans. So he had his dream shot there with his dream club, ultimately finishing 7th with not the best points per game ratio here, with of course the highest 1.55 in the 2010-2011 season, winning 14 of the 33 games that he managed. Then he went to Coventry, and again he got them to the dizzy heights of 8th. Which, to be fair, I think was a good accomplishment for them. The next season, though, he left, leaving the club in 24th spot without a win out of the first 10 games of the campaign. Then Rovers took a punt on him later on in that calendar year. He did manage 15 of our games, picking up a 1.47 points per game ratio, which was good. It was a good accomplishment. Unfortunately, it wasn't good enough to stay in the division. We only narrowly got ourselves relegated on that one after the own-caused disastrous start to the campaign. But that 1.7 points per ratio is pretty high, one of his highest throughout his managerial reign, but it wasn't good enough. Unfortunately for us, we did bounce back at the first attempt, finishing second with a 2.09 points per match ratio for Rovers. And then since then, there's 2 seasons back in the Championship, 2 completed seasons in the Championship. The points per match ratio has steadily increased from his initial 1.30. We currently sit at 1.21 this season. That's winning 11 of the 33 matches so far. It's not good enough, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, it's not good enough. We currently sit 15th. And of course, what's around the corner does scare the crap out of me, because there's some really scary games around the corner which will not improve that whatsoever. Let's kick it on forward here. Of course, this is of course a synopsis of his points per match at all seasons, of course, combined, getting all those numbers condensed. So at Hibs, he had a 1.31 points per match sort of ratio over the course of his seasons. At West Brom, he had a 1.46. At Celtic, he had a 1.73, and like I said, it's kind of like instant success at Celtic. And it's kind of a little bit harsh that he did that. At Middlesbrough, he had a 1.44, and of course, Coventry 1.33. And at Rovers, he's at his best, to be honest with you. He takes Celtic out of the equation with a 1.49, which is pretty good. It's a pretty decent return. It's just under half, and I'm sure if we could get some more points on the board, we could get it over that half. And I think if we could get that over the half, then I'd be content with him. As a manager, not manager myself, but if I was in his shoes, I would like to go out with my numbers more in the win column than in the defeat column. And currently, it's in his favour. He has won more games than he's lost as a Rovers manager, which is great. Here are, of course, the recent the recent seasons for Blackburn Rovers, not just with Mowbray in charge, but of course the previous management as well. So let's take a look at, of course, our first couple of seasons there, 2012, 2013, we finished in 17th. I think it was the start of the Bowyer era, or the era that was a bag of shit with Henningberg, Appleton, and all that kind of stuff. Then Bowyer coming in at the back end of that, and he kind of steadied the ship. Ultimately, his second season, Bowyer season, we finished 8th with 70 points in the bag. The next season, we finished 9th. And I think that was Bowyer's last attempt there, which, to be fair, finishing in the top 10 within his first 2 full seasons in charge was a pretty good return. That's for Bowyer. Then, of course, I think Lambert came in. He finished 15th, left at the season, and guess what? Then we brought in Coyle, which was an absolute shite show, and we only picked up 51 points. Which got us relegated. Of course, Mowbray came in to try to clean up the house at the back end of that, but unfortunately, it was not good enough. So we went down on the 2016-2017 season with 51 points. That number is crucial. Then, of course, we bounced back with 96 points since then. And then, of course, this is the Mowbray era from 2018 to the present day. And the first season back, we got picked up 60 points, finishing in 15th in the division. And then, of course, last season, we got 63 points, 3 points more than we did the previous season, finishing in 11th. For me, I believe... Oh, you can't even see it. You can't even bloody see it. What am I doing? Well, I'm just going to disappear here, so you can see what I'm talking about, because that's a bit shite. So here is those seasons that we're talking about. For me, I think the crucial stat that matters is bettering these numbers here. If we could get at least 1 point, or even level, if we could level off and get 63 points this campaign, or 64, then I believe we're okay. It's not been, of course, it's not been where we want to be, and 63 or 63 points will not get us anywhere near the top 6, and of course that dream is bust. But to be honest with you, if Mowbray's to stay, he needs to better this. He needs to better this statistic right here, but get 63 points or more. Of course, this is the table as it stands right here. Right now, we currently sit 15th in the table with 40 points on the board. We need, I believe, 24 points to save our job. And to be honest with you, there's not that many points on the table. There we are, sitting in 15th. Of course, we are closer to the drop than we are to the top, which is not great either. People are saying that we could be in a relegation dogfight. To be fair, I don't think that's true. I think we should be good enough to avoid the drop. But let's not avoid that conversation, because it could come and bite us in the backside as well. Let's take a look at, of course, the remaining matches here. This is where it all comes down to this. All boils down to this. I'm going to disappear as well for this, because of course I've got some numbers coming up, and I don't want you to miss out on the numbers. So of course, let's take a look at it. Of course, we do come into this on the back of the defeat to Reading. To be fair, what are we looking at here? We're looking at there's 39 points available left in the season. Of course, so we're not going to get all of them. Are we going to get any of them? That's the question. I don't know. To be fair, I think 50 points is your safety, which will guarantee your safety, which I think we're on. What were we on? I don't even know. I think we need 24 points. 24 points is my goal to break that 63 point accomplishment last season, which equals about 1.84 points per match. And this is where I do believe we could get those points, whether it is with Mowbray, whether it is not with Mowbray. Of course, starting with this weekend's match against Millwall, we must win that game, because after that we've got 2 difficult, however, at-home matches against high flyers Swansea, high flyers Brentford. It hasn't worked well in the past. We lost to Swansea earlier in the campaign. I think we drew with Brentford. But and those games were on the road, so we might get a little bit fortunate, and we've seen Swansea on the back of some awkward results as well. But they are flying high; they got the bit between the teeth, and it's going to be stubborn sort of work to get anything out of that. So realistically, we need a win against Millwall, and then I've got us taking on Bristol City. They've got a new manager right now, new manager bounce. That new manager bounce will not last; it will go away, and hopefully by the time they come to Ewood Park, they have a shit show there, and we get another win. And then hopefully, again, we got Norwich on the horizon. Not too good there. We have Wickham again. I'm giving myself 3 points there. It might not work out. It might not work out. So there are areas that I think we can salvage some points. I think we could also possibly get something out of the Bournemouth game at Ewood Park as well. I don't believe in them. Cardiff as well could be an avenue, but realistically I don't think so. Then we realistically need to pick up wins against Derby at Ewood, Sheffield Wednesday at their place, Huddersfield at Ewood, Rotherham and Birmingham the back end. But to be honest with you, when it comes to this part of the season, these teams will be scrapping for their lives for sure. They're in the relegation discussion right here, right now. And even Derby, to a point, could get sucked right back into it. So I don't want to be playing these guys when, of course, relegation is on the agenda for them, because we could get sucked into it ourselves. One sour result here could end us up dragged in there, especially with the outlook of the points per game coming up here. Not looking good at all. So for me, yeah, it's a very, very awkward next 5-6 games. We've had this one yesterday. I thought we could get something out of it against Reading, but unfortunately, one mistake was all it took for Reading to get the 3 points. So that leads me to this point, boys and girls. With all that said and done, am I Mowbray in or Mowbray out? I've been very, very vocal over the past few days, past few watch-alongs, and I have been Mowbray out. I've been 100% Mowbray out. There's recent discussions in the press. Prior to the Reading game, was it the Reading game or was it the Coventry game? He turned me around. He thought, you know what? No, he is the man for the job. And after his post-match comments on Sky after the Reading game, also had me concerned as to his future, and has fueled the fire that he could step aside. Let's take a look at, of course, the situation. We're talking about Venky's here. We're talking about Waggett. We're talking about sort of stability. They've completely gone against the grain of what they used to do, which would be firing managers after 10 games. Now they've stuck with Mowbray for the past 4 years. And believed in him, and believed in the plan, and believed in the concept. Also, we've got the Waggett factor, who sits above Mowbray in the hierarchical structure. Him and Mowbray are airtight best buds. They worked at Coventry, and when he worked at Coventry, Mowbray was the one that decided to walk away. It wasn't that he was pushed or he was kicked out. It was Mowbray's decision to walk away. So ultimately, I think it's going to be the same sort of deal with Mowbray here at Blackburn Rovers. And in all honesty, I'm going to be doing some videos that follow this, looking at 3 different markets for possible replacements for Mowbray. We're looking at the free market, we're looking at the foreign market, and we're looking at the dream sheets with guys currently in work. So I'm going to be doing 3 of those videos, and they'll be churning out over the next 48 hours or so. In all honesty, though, I think Mowbray will stay. And I think I will give him his backing, but ultimately for me, I think so. I am Mowbray in. I am Mowbray in, despite what I've been saying in the watch-alongs. The past couple of days, past 40 hours, has convinced me. For the time being, I'm Mowbray in, because you've got to go back on the track record of the Venky's. It's not because I know that if Mowbray was to step aside, we will have the amazing possible opportunities of Frank Lampard or Eddie Howe or things like that. I know that the Venky's will look at the bargain buckets, the dollar store, the pound store managers that are available out there. We are living in a COVID era where we're not getting money in the door through gate receipts. We're not flush with cash these days. Venky's are the club is saddled with debt, and without Venky's we would be going under. So we've got to keep it sensible, keep it straight and on the right path, even though the results and everything has gone south. Yeah, in an ideal world, yes, Mowbray should step aside and we should go in for the best out there. And there are some really good crackers out there. Having said that, though, if the decision is made by Mowbray, because I think it all falls down onto him, he will eventually walk away if things go wrong. So over the next 5 games, I think if there's no change, and we might scramble a couple of points if we're lucky, then he may end up walking away. Especially, but if he picks up a couple of wins, I think he will see out the campaign, and then realistically, we need to review the whole situation. But to be honest with you, deep down, I just think as long as the Wagget's still there, Mowbray will be there. And as long as we're in this division and we're not struggling for anything too bad, there won't be any change of stuff. But again, if this is to stay as it is, if the flux was not to change, we need to see a response from the players. To be honest with you, the one mistake cost us last night against Reading. I think the players are still dragging their knuckles a little bit. They need to realise if Mowbray ain't going to go anywhere, they need to step up their own performances. I've been disappointed with their performances since November. We might have fluked some results in the meantime, but ultimately we've won a few games since November, but not good enough. And I do think we need a reboot, but I don't think it's going to happen. So in that regard, I am going to be sticking with Mowbray, and I'll back him. I'll back him all the way. I'll get upset. I'll get angry, but ultimately, I think he ain't going to go anywhere, and we're going to have to suck it up, and hopefully the results will come. Like I said, I'm going to have some more videos looking at this, at potential replacements should the opportunity arise that we need a new manager. But again, with the financial constraints that we're all finding ourselves in, even professional business, personal businesses, all that kind of stuff, it's hard to see us getting rid of Mowbray, maybe paying him off financially and bringing in somebody else from another club, or paying more wages for something else. I think the Venkies will think, you know what, it's been okay. We've had a terrible season. It's the COVID era. Shit's hit the fan. There's no fans in the stadium. It's been rough. Let's suck it up, and we'll go again next season. So that's ultimately what I think is going to happen. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll take a little look at your views and see what you think. But anyway, again, if you've got any suggestions as well, should Mowbray decide to step aside, because that's ultimately what it's going to boil down to, is Mowbray will have to walk if anything changes. He will not get pushed. Ultimately, that's it. Get your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll do it all again. Anyway, till then, be sure to give the video some love, smash your thumbs up, smash your subscribe. Again, check out my next few videos on this subject as to see who I would think would be a good replacement if the opportunity arises. But remember, I'm this guy. I'm Mowbray, and I'm going to back him. I think he's a working class manager for a working class club. I'm believing in the Mowbray propaganda. He's won me over again. I've given him another extra life for Millwall. But if you lose Millwall, I'm going to be on your case again. Anyway, that's it. Smash the thumbs up, smash subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Check out the links down below. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and of course Patreon. Until then, I'm out.